Today, I'm going to explain a French romantic comedy drama film called We Die Young. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. 14-year-old Lucas lives in Washington, D.C. and works as a collector for a gang called the MS-13. Since he is young and looks fairly innocent, the gang uses him to collect debts and deliver illegal substances in guarded areas. In an opening monologue, Lucas explains the ins and outs of the gang and the way it functions. There are more than 10,000 MS-13 members in over 40 states. Their influence ranges from business to politics, but their main source of income is the illegal trade of recreational drugs. The lowest rank of the gang is the Blue Boys, who are in charge of selling. They give the money to the collectors, which is then handed to the second highest gang member, Jester. At last, the money goes to the merciless gang leader, Rincon. He makes every decision for the group and is a god to the members of the gang. Lucas is merely a collector, but works closely with Rincon. The friendship between them is not liked by the right-hand man, Jester. He knows that Rincon favors the kid more than him. This makes his blood boil, because he has worshipped Rincon since the beginning of the gang. One afternoon, Lucas collects the money from the Blue Boys and brings it to the leader. He witnesses some gangsters beating a man to death for refusing to pay the money he owes. Seeing people being murdered is a usual day for the kid. Then we are introduced to a mute Afghanistan war veteran named Daniel. Lucas's customers consist of several people from street junkies to high-profile individuals. But out of all of them, Daniel stands out the most. Unlike most people who consume pills for fun, he does so to block an unsolved trauma. He works at a local car shop and helps Lucas whenever he can. For the past few days, Rincon is stressed because an FBI car has been parked outside his house, keeping an eye on him. Because of this, the business has been going very slow. Moreover, Rincon's sister, Gabriella's wedding, is in a few days, and they are celebrating from home. She is handicapped, so Rincon wants to do everything in his power to make the day special. While collecting money that day, Lucas meets an old shopkeeper who is a few hundred short because his wife is sick. If it had been any other collector, they would have beaten the old man to death, but Lucas asks him to pay when he gets the chance. Following that, he goes to a local junkie base and finds his little brother, Miguel. The kid is unaware of the risks of being in a gang and wants to be a runner like his brother. Lucas wants the best for him, which is why he drags him back to the school. Somewhere else, Daniel is with his friend Anna and her daughter. He and Anna like each other, but have decided to stay friends since they both have very different lifestyles. As they chat, Anna inquires why a man like him lives in a Latino neighborhood. Daniel says he likes it here, but the truth is he is in constant need of pills that Lucas sells. They help him when he gets panic attacks and war flashbacks from the time that he was in Afghanistan. The next day, Rincon welcomes his soon-to-be brother-in-law, Thomas, and his family for the wedding ceremony. Everyone in the house is preparing for the occasion, so he has to entertain the in-laws on his own. The gangster is not very good at holding social conversations, so when Lucas arrives with the money, he is happy to get out of the situation. When he and Lucas are alone, he counts the money, happy that he has someone as trustworthy as Lucas working by his side. Taking the opportunity, the kid asks him to leave his little brother out of the business. Rincon agrees and gives him a suit to wear at the wedding, which is in a few hours. But before that, there is a very special task he wants Lucas to complete. He has to deliver 2 packs of illegal goods to the receiver of a rival gang. This is the most important task Lucas has ever been handed, only because anyone else would be suspected by the FBI outside the house. Jester is yet again not a fan of the idea and thinks the kid will mess up the deal, but he cannot go against the leader's decision. Before dismissing him, Rincon orders him to leave Lucas's little brother out of the gang activities. Outside, Lucas is on his way to make the delivery when a kid informs him that his brother is going through a jump-in. It is a process where everyone gets to beat up a person for 13 seconds, and by the end of it, the person will be a part of the gang. Lucas tries to save his little brother, but the others restrain him and proceed to hit the kid. Some seconds later, they stop and welcome him to the gang. Fortunately, Miguel is only mildly injured. Lucas asks him to come with him just to make sure he is fine. However, instead of going to the tracks to make the delivery, he decides to bring Miguel to their house. He doesn't want the kid to stay near the gang anymore and packs up his bags to send him to a baseball camp. But while doing so, he accidentally drops one of the packages that Rincon had given him. Soon, he notices that the package is missing, but before he can look for it, Jester arrives with his people and asks him why he isn't at the drop-off point. To save himself, Lucas claims that Rincon lied to Jester about the drop-off point because he doesn't trust him. Jester, who was already jealous, is furious at the leader for trusting a kid over him. In the meantime, Rincon and his sister are taking wedding pictures and celebrating the occasion. But even when they are trying to enjoy themselves, Rincon is worried about the FBI officers outside his house. Jester asks Lucas to come to Rincon and explain why he wasn't at the drop-off track. Lucas knows that if he goes to the leader with a missing package, he will surely get killed. Just then, he sees an old man driving past them and signals him to crash his car. The man is Lucas's associate, so he does as told and distracts Jester and his people. Taking the opportunity, Lucas and Miguel run away. A chase ensues through the streets, in which the brothers narrowly avoid the gunshots being fired at them. Eventually, they meet Daniel, who drives them away from the gangsters. Suddenly, they get into an accident, and the screen goes black. A flashback shows us Daniel's struggles when he was in Afghanistan. He kills several people, and watches his friend get killed by the enemies. Back in the present, he comes back to his senses and sees that Miguel's leg is stuck in the seat. He quickly gets out and helps the brothers before they hide in his room. Lucas dresses Miguel's wound to the best of his capabilities while discussing their next step. Somewhere else, Jester goes to Rincon and tells him that Lucas has betrayed them and run away with the packages. Rincon is shocked because he trusted the kid more than his closest mates. If they do not deliver the packages, they will surely be attacked by the rival cartel, and the wedding will be ruined alongside the loss in business. Since he has to be at the wedding, he orders Jester to bring Lucas and the packages at any cost. Lucas, on the other hand, knows that the only way for him to survive is by handing Rincon both the packages. He goes through the bags and sees that the second one is missing as well. Upon realizing that it must have dropped in the car, he rushes to the crash site. Back at the house, a man named Spider crashes the wedding. He is the rival dealer who is supposed to receive the packages. Rincon doesn't want a guy like him at a family occasion, but he has to ask him to wait for a while. Meanwhile, Lucas reaches the burning car and discovers the second package inside. On looking closer, he notices that it is full of cash, which is also in flames. It is clear that he is not getting out of this situation alive, but all he cares about is his brother's well-being. He runs back to Daniel and thanks him. Daniel wants to drive them out of the city, but Lucas says they do not need any more of his help. Following that, the brothers rush to their apartment to get the first package. Lucas wants to run away from the city using the money in the package. The brothers wait outside the apartment for most of the day because it is swarming with Rincon's men. A while later, when no one from the gang is around, they sneak inside, but right then they are caught by a kid who is also a budding gang member. He says that he will keep his mouth shut since he has known them forever. But as the brothers are about to leave with the money, the kid brings Jester in. He holds the brothers at gunpoint and checks Lucas's bag, finding out that one of the packages is missing. Lucas tells him that the package is burned into ashes, which doesn't help Jester's anger. Some hours later, Daniel returns to work to find that the gangsters have assaulted the owner of the shop. An enraged Anna blames him for the old man's condition. It turns out that Jester and the gangsters were there to look for the second package, which is why the owner was beaten. After discovering that the kids have been caught, Daniel decides to risk his life to get them out of there safely. Anna tries to convince him otherwise, but she cannot persuade him to abort his plan. In the meantime, Rincon's sister gets married, and the newlyweds kiss. Lucas and Miguel are brought to the house by Jester. He keeps them waiting until Rincon gets done with the ceremony. Outside in the kitchen, one of Gabriella's friends is preparing drinks for the guests. All of a sudden, Spider starts touching her inappropriately. Sometime later, Rincon enters the kitchen and sees him assaulting his sister-like friend. In a fit of rage, the gangster beats Spider to death and asks the girl to clean the blood. Outside, Daniel arrives and threatens two guards. They get into a fight, which ends in the death of one of the guards. Daniel holds the other hostage and thinks of a plan. He knows that he cannot just walk in and save the boys. What he needs is a distraction. Hence, he brings the hostage in front of the FBI officers. The other gangsters see this and bring their weapons out. When the FBI officers find out about the guns, they call for backup, and soon, a shootout starts. Rincon meets Lucas and asks him where the other package is, but before he can answer, gunshots are heard. The wedding is interrupted by a dead body dropping out of the window. Everyone starts running for their lives, which causes chaos. Daniel is spotted and shot in the leg, but he somehow manages to get the boys. He ties Miguel's jacket around his wound before bringing them outside. To Rincon's dismay, his sister is also shot and killed in the shootout. Daniel, Lucas, and Miguel are now on a railway track nearby. Jester catches up to them and orders them to hand over the second package. It turns out Daniel stole it amidst the shootout. Suddenly, Daniel falls to the ground because of the injury, and Rincon arrives at the same time. He is devastated by his sister's death and blames the kids for the mishap. But to everyone's surprise, he asks the brothers to run away and never come back to DC again. Jester is beyond shocked. He believes that Rincon is no longer fit to run the gang, so he shoots him dead. Then he asks for the package one more time. Daniel throws Miguel his jacket and hands the package to Jester. The boys use this opportunity to run away. However, Jester soon finds out that the package is empty. He is ready to kill Daniel when the gangster kid who ratted them out earlier shoots him. In the last scene, the brothers are on a train to a new city. Miguel finds a bundle of money in his pocket that they can use to start a better life together.